September 10th Select Board meeting. Val, would you lead us in the pledge?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. First job is to approve minutes from August 27th, 2018, non-public work session.
I move that those minutes be approved as written.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. August 27th, 2018, work session.
I move that we accept the minutes as written.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 August 27th, 2018, Board of Selectmen meeting.
Move that we accept it.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
August 28th, 2018, Board of Selectmen meeting with the National Guard.
I move that those minutes be approved as written.
Second.
All those in
Abstain.
favor?
Aye.
Aye.
August 28th, 2018, non-public meeting minutes. The board voted to seal the minutes of the August 28th, 2018 non-public meeting. I have a motion.
Motion to accept the minutes.
Second.
Abstain.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay. Announcements. The Board of Selectmen will meet on the following dates. Regular meeting, Monday, September 24th, Tuesday, October the 9th, and Monday, October 22nd, 2018 at 6 p.m. Work sessions prior to the regular meeting will start at 5 p.m. Town offices will be closed on October 8th, 2018 in observance of Columbus Day. State primary voting, 8 a.m. to 7 p.m., Tuesday, September the 11th, 2018, at the Plymouth Elementary Gym. A second public hearing relative to the adoption of the master plan will take place Thursday, September the 13th, at 6:30 p.m. in the Town Hall. The Planning Board will take public comments concerning revisions and amendments to the current master plan. And all those that are interested, I think we had 10 or 15 at the last hearing, and so if you have anything to add or any comments, please show up. All of the above meetings will be held at the Town Hall unless otherwise posted. Citizens wishing to be listed on the Select Board's agenda should notify the Town Hall before 12 p.m. the Friday before the scheduled meeting. Alternate members are always needed to fill positions on the zoning and planning boards. If interested, please submit a letter of intent to the Plymouth Selectboard's office, 6 Post Office Square, Plymouth, New Hampshire, 03264. The chairman has no comments. Is Connie Martell here? Connie, would you like to come forward?
Connie, would you like anybody else to come up?
Well, that's my sister-in-law. Do you want to come on? No.
Okay. Plaque is to Madison W. Sears Smokey, February 8th, 1917 to December 4th, 2006, in grateful recognition of his contribution to the many years of service to the town of Plymouth. Smokey was well-liked and well-known for helping others while serving his community. Presented by the Selectmen William Bolton, John Randlett, Michael Ahern, Brian Dutal, and Valerie Scarborough. Thank you very much.
Great.
Yeah.
Connie, is there a place that you would like that to be? At the town hall or at the cemetery or?
I don't want to know if it's, I think here in the town hall would be where we are downstairs. here.
Downstairs?
Mhm.
Sure.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Thank you all.
Connie, when did he pass?
December 4th, 2006. Yep.
We
Mm.
want to thank him and recognize him for his service.
He's up there. He's looking.
We know.
So do I leave it with you, or do I?
Sure. Yeah, you can leave it with Paul.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome, Connie.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I only met him once, but
Yeah.
I remember talking to him a little bit in Rand's
Yeah.
back in the late 80s, I think, early
Yeah.
90s.
Everybody knew him by Smokey.
Yeah, that's right,
Yeah.
yeah.
If I come in, I say Madison, everybody just doesn't do anything. If I say Smokey, everybody knows. Yeah.
Great.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Joe, you're next.
So I got my truck back from Winnipesaukee, and we sat it on for a while until I could find the right person to diagnose what was truly wrong with it, so we wouldn't have to spend money twice. And so the only way to do that was to, because of all the emissions that was already taken care of, the next step was to take the head off. And so we took the head off, and we found the problem. There was a burnt valve, and one of the pistons had a crack in it. And so instead of rebuilding half the motor, it was just a little more money to do the whole truck, and know that when I'm done, we have a truck that we can drive. It's more money than I want to spend, but I cannot, once I spend that money, I cannot go and replace it for that money. If I spent that money on a truck right now, I would just get a truck, an unreliable truck that I would have to just keep putting money into.
Okay.
I'm in a position where the money spent puts me in a place where I have a truck to get me through the winter months, and I just move forward with the lessons learned. I actually have a picture of that.
No, that's all right. Do we have a motion from the
I
board?
have a question.
Okay.
Okay.
Was it the emissions issues that caused the engine to go bad?
No, I think, yeah, so the emissions had an issue originally, and then it caused a hydraulic lockup. And so at that point, it started a failure inside the motor, but the motor still ran. So each time that they fixed the emissions, it would run for a short time, and then the problem just kept getting worse until a point to where the internal part of the motor actually failed enough, so it had no compression.
So this was the portion of the years where, I forget what they call that, phase 2 of the emission standards. So I'm afraid that it's probably going to happen again, because it just brought it back to the original.
No, because that failure has been an ongoing failure since the first time the emissions failed. Now, all the emissions are at a good point, that once they redo this,
But the older ones wouldn't have that problem, and the newer ones wouldn't be having that problem.
no, the newer ones, believe it or not, the way the government works now is everything has, with emissions, everybody's having issues. So no
But every-
one's subject to.
As I understand it, every time a truck sits idle for a certain length of time, that adds to the problem because of phase 2 around 2010. Prior, I think it was 2007, they didn't have those problems, so you're bound to have that happen all over again, and I think it might be time to sell it. My dad always said, sell something when it's working, not when it's broken.
It's not working right now.
Well, after we fix it.
Yeah.
After we fix it, I think it needs to be sold.
Well, I think we could certainly look at the next time that we put a truck out for trade, when we buy another truck, we could try to put this one out to leave the barn at that point versus,
Because you need to, every time it idles, you have to burn off. You have to you have to run it at a very high RPM to reburn it. And that's, so you're leaving, it's not just you driving it, it's many different people. And so they may not do that. And we're gonna be right back here again. That's what I'm worried about.
it's a matter of training your guys. I have the same problem with all our new equipment, is the same way. Everything that we own after that date, the emissions is totally different, so you have to retrain your guys how to either not leave it idling or,
But that's a manual burn. You have to physically set it up to put the RPM. The newer ones, does it automatically.
right.
So you wouldn't have that same problem. You shouldn't.
Which would be wonderful to get all newer ones if in.
Or older. Older, before the government got involved in the emission standards, or newer, but there's a certain time frame right in the middle. 2009 was one of the first years for about 3
No,
years.
I understand that. I'm just saying, as far as budget constraints right now,
I think 2011 or 12 is when they came to Tier 3. Tier 3 is fine.
But Joe can't pull that off until July 1st, 2019.
so he has to keep using it. Has to get fixed or he's going to be short a truck for the winter when he needs it the most.
And then I agree, then sell it in 2019. But we have to put something in the budget that we're going to be putting together right now.
Is there a chance that could go bad between now and 2019? I just hate to be back in this.
Because we know where we're at with it now and how the truck reacts, we've come a long ways understanding how this truck works, that we can stay current with it and try to not have these failures. And every time we think that it has an issue, then we have, the one thing that in our favor, we found somebody that deals with emissions that we trust, that works with us instead of just throwing parts at it. He has the way of testing it, and
There's fleets of trucks all over the place,
Oh, it's awful.
all down because of the government standards on that emissions.
it's awful.
Fleets of trucks.
Okay, any other discussion?
I just have is there any way that we can get some money back from Winnipesaukee? I mean, sounds like they should have found this.
I've heard a lot of I've heard a lot of things that where things were overpriced and misdiagnosed, but by the time it goes through a legal battle, the amount you're gonna get back, I don't think you're gonna get that through, because of all the fees you're gonna spend to get there. So, we just don't take our business there and move on.
Any other discussion? We have a motion?
Well, I move that, we accept the purchase order for the amount of $8,881.35 to repair Ford Smitty's Diesel and Welding to repair the 2010 International.
Okay, have a second?
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Okay.
I still would, John,
Yeah,
love to see them sell it and buy something 2 years older.
well, we can do that, but
I mean, we can obviously.
And then maybe put a little bit of money in the bank to help offset.
well, you think you're gonna get something older for cheaper?
I would think so, maybe, possibly.
But you might, well, you know,
Would
We-
that would
something
have a
we can
chance,
take a look
it would
at.
have less chance of having a problem than this year.
Well, then I would suggest that we find that vehicle first.
Right.
And then
For
see what,
something.
and then see what we can,
Get rid of this one and buy the older one and put some money.
that we could do in this fiscal year.
Yeah.
You'd be better off.
Certainly start doing our shopping now and look for trucks.
Okay.
Okay,
All right, thank you, Joe.
thank you.
Joe, just, could you just give us an update on Bell Road,
On Bell Road?
the well at Scranton
Oh, the
Drive?
well. I put together a price for John's well, Gravoni's well, because he has an issue with it keep going dry. And so I submitted it to the select board, and I have not seen the results of that, but I do know that he keeps calling the highway, and he keeps calling Mike McNally with the intentions that we're gonna do something for him. So, and now he's at the point where he said today, he goes, well, do I have to get my lawyer to draft something up? He goes, because he goes, now would be the time to do it, because before winter, he goes, it really needs to be done before winter, so. I've done my homework, Mike's done his, so the decision doesn't lie with me. So I'm not sure what to tell him, but once he gets to a point where he's talking lawyers, I really feel that it shouldn't be in my hands anymore. That someone should, whether you have or not made a decision what you want to do, that he needs to be informed one way or the other.
And the repair's about 7,000?
Yeah.
Upgrade, not repair.
Correct, make it deeper so it has more of a reservoir, which would solve his problem.
We had talked as a board that if it came in around $700, we would consider doing it.
Mhm.
I don't have 7,000.
Who got the price of 7,000?
I put it out to bid, I had two people bid it, and one guy has not returned.
How deep is it now?
It's about 3 tiles deep, so they want to go 2 more tiles. I think they're only 2-foot tiles, most of the newer ones are 4-foot tiles, so.
Right.
So he wants to go another, 6 or 8 feet to give him a reservoir, so, because every time, there's water in the well, but every time he turns it on, by the time, it's a 28% pitch is what he told me, so by the time that he sucks the water through it and it gets down to his barn, the line goes dry, so there's not enough water. Yeah. So every time you open the well, you look in there, there's water, but it comes back enough to fill up above the pump, but when he starts to take the water out, it goes away, and there's not enough reservoir to hold the water, so.
Isn't this the one, last year we sent him the letter when this whole thing was being discussed, and
Right. You were the chair, you sent a letter saying that should the well go dry, it isn't our responsibility.
it's not our responsibility to fix it, and so, he's been getting in touch directly with you?
And Mike McNally, and so I'm assuming because he wouldn't take no for an answer from you guys, that we're the second option. Because I actually haven't seen a letter that you sent him, so.
How much does a section of 4-foot tile cost?
I got a price to do the whole thing, and it's nothing that we would do ourselves.
It isn't. We couldn't use our new excavator.
Because it's kind of tricky, you have to know what you're doing, and like you gotta wrap it all in stone, and I don't think the town wants that liability if something goes wrong with it, that.
Well, and that was the reason we sent the letter at the time,
Right.
that, last year, that, I think I was chairman at the time. and sent the letter out. And so, under those circumstances, not having the funds available, you can,
So I guess my recommendation would be just to maybe send a follow-up letter to reiterate that where you're at with it, just so he knows. And because at this point, I don't need those phone calls, and Mike doesn't need to be, if no's no, then somehow we need to let him know
all
that.
right, well, we can draft a letter.
You can just draft a very short one-paragraph letter that alludes to the other letter that
To
we'll
the
put
other
in.
letter.
We'll send a copy of the first letter.
Yep. All right, and I'll be in tomorrow. I can sign it, and I'll get it to
Okay.
him. And
Seems,
that way we can end the phone calls for you.
Okay,
All right?
all right. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay. Gary?
All right, well, I'm here to give you an idea of where I'm at with the revaluation, and actually to ask for a little extension of time to finish it. I'm working on pricing things out at this point. I'll say I'm a little more optimistic right now than I was when I came in this morning, because I feel like I'm getting a better handle on things, but the target completion date in the contract was September 15, and I clearly am not going to have it finished on that date. So I was hoping to get the selectmen's blessing for a little extension beyond that.
What kind of time do you think you're gonna need?
Well, I'm hoping to have the notices out before the end of September. I'm not sure if I can get the hearings in before the end of September, or perhaps a week or two at most into October. But
Because we have to have the MS one, what, October 15th?
I have an extension till then, yes.
So that's our absolute drop dead date for having everything
I
finished?
have to apply for
At
another
this time.
extension, but right now, yes.
Can everything be done by the end of September?
it's going to be difficult to get the hearing process done by the end of September, conceivably, but, we like to allow a couple of weeks or a week and a half or so notice from the time you send the notices out to when the hearings occur. So, you got a certain amount of time there that you're essentially just waiting for the hearings to occur.
Are we still looking good at the overall assessment being higher,
Well, the assessments are definitely going to be higher.
the overall,
Yes.
which is good for the tax rate?
Mm.
The value of our town, I'm talking about.
Mhm.
So, I'm going to keep plugging at it and get it done as quickly as I can, but I don't want to give you a guarantee that I can get the whole process completed by the end of September. There's a certain amount of other time before we even send the notices out. I have to do quite a bit of review of individual property values and so on, and that just
What
takes
kind of
time.
led up? I was just more to do.
Well, not necessarily more to do, just everything taking longer than anticipated at every step of the way. We did the callback process. We sent out notices, and we got a stronger response to that than we anticipated, actually. So it took a little longer for that to play out, and a little bit of unfamiliarity with the program, or at least the analysis part of it, which I haven't done before in that software program.
Oh,
Just remind the board that this is the first time that they've done the cyclical.
yeah.
They've done the annual where we've just do 1/5 of the town. This is the whole town. So there's 5 times more to do
Mhm.
Yeah.
this particular round.
So what would you say would be the absolute drop dead date for you guys for you to get your piece done?
The longer that it gets put off, the longer it takes us to get our tax rate setting. That's the main thing. I mean, I'd like to have a couple of extra weeks once he's done, just to run all of the numbers and make sure that everything is coming out the way it should. You know, just give myself a little bit of time. But I have until October 15th right now. If he's thinking it's going to be the middle of October, then I would have to apply for another extension, probably to the end of October.
So can you keep Paul and them abreast on a weekly basis where you're at and where you think you're gonna?
Yeah, we can play it by ear and, you know, hopefully get it done maybe a little quicker than I anticipated at this point. Just,
Yeah.
and then, you know, if I can get the hearings done the very end of September or maybe the first week of October,
Yeah,
you
maybe,
can always get an extension of a week or something if you need it.
all right,
That sounds reasonable.
okay. Do we need to make a motion or just,
Yes.
okay. Do we have a motion to extend the due date on the assessment?
Make a motion that we extend the due date to the end of September. Giving you your 2 weeks to prepare it.
Do you think you can do that, or?
I won't guarantee that I won't come back in
I
with
think
another
he needs
request,
till
but
the
we can
middle
do
of
that for now.
October.
Huh?
I think he was saying he needs till the middle of October,
Okay.
and then I would need 2 weeks after that.
And you can get that?
Well, I have, yes,
And you'll
yeah.
need to do an extension then.
Yeah.
All right, so the.
So I amend it to October 15th.
Or sooner? Okay. All right, we have a second?
Second.
Discussion?
Paul?
If I may ask the public, because I think there's some confusion, I don't think the public realizes that this would lead to a better tax rate setting? Were you concerned that it's not? I could see that you had a concern.
Oh, the tax rate?
So if you have a concern, I'm afraid that people in TV land were not explaining what we're exactly doing here.
Yeah, well, I guess you're reevaluating the town to see, so that you'll know what the tax rate is going to be for us.
Right, so we want to make sure that we get the whole town,
Right.
Bonnie, so that it's looking really good. That's what I'm saying. So we want to make sure.
Yeah, no, I think the big concern is if all of our taxes are gonna go up again.
Yeah,
That's the concern right there.
I can't control it both
Yeah,
ways.
no, I know that, but you said as far as concern, well, that's everybody's concern.
You might be surprised.
I would love to be surprised in a good way.
Well, I don't want to say the rest of it because the audit just started today
Yeah,
and things are going well.
no, I pretty much understand, I was just cringing.
And the departments hit the fiscal year very well, and money was turned back to the town. So, as long as the school made their budget,
Yeah.
the town will not be making the budget go up, the tax rate go up, so.
Thank you.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay, all right, two.
Did we have a second?
Did we get a second?
Yeah, I second.
Yeah,
Okay, thank you.
Brian did.
All right, thank you, gentlemen and ladies.
All right, Gary,
Thank you.
Thank you, Gary.
keep the light burner.
Working there for a while tonight before I go home.
All right, Gary, thank you. Okay, do we have any other business other than all?
Unfinished business. Regarding the taking by the state of 54 acres on 3A between the last chair and Snowy Gables for the National Guard Army to be located there in the future. and wiping out 54 acres of prime commercial development for us to bring in more taxes and more revenue. I have sent a letter in that regards to Governor Sununu, and hoping that I'll get to have a sitting with him, explain to him exactly what's happened, since we have had the National Guard come before the Board of Selectmen and truly got nowhere with that. And I know it's their job to defend the state, but I think more people in the state need to know what's happened to us. And I'll keep you updated on how that goes.
Okay,
Very good, thank you.
all right. Okay, committee reports?
There was a school board meeting this evening, which I did not make because I'm here, so nothing really to report.
I have nothing.
The Parks and Rec Department, after-school program kicks off Wednesday and Thursday, and then is full-time starting on next week from today. And they are full with a waiting list. So,
All right. Okay, public comments. Patrice?
Mr. Chairman, Patrice Scott, I just wanted to bring something to the board's attention, something that kept me awake,
Like to be
me and my husband awake last Sunday evening, and I wasn't sure if the board was aware of the extent of what I've found out was going on. My husband and I went away for the weekend, came back in the middle of Labor Day weekend, and we were at a trial and had some work to do on Monday, unfortunately, so we were very tired and wanted to go to sleep. Sunday evening at about 10 o'clock, I tried to, he put his earplugs in, as he usually does because of our neighborhood on Russell Street, and there was just a loud reverberating noise from, I don't know when, from when we got home till, at 11 o'clock, I figured, okay, I'm at least going to try to call dispatch and see, is it something that I can make a noise complaint about, or where was it? I couldn't figure out if it was live music or if it was a typical, car running with their bass going. So I called dispatch. I believe it was after 11. I tried to give them as much time as possible to quiet down, and when I called dispatch, I was told that not to worry, it was a community-sanctioned event that was going on, and that it would be over at 1 o'clock, 1 a.m. on Sunday evening during Labor Day. The noise was making my house kind of jumble. It wasn't just regular, something that you could ignore. So I thought, well, that's community sanctioned event. What do you mean? Where is this thing coming from? She said, oh, it's on Mary Lyon Hall, the lawn of Mary Lyon Hall. So I said, so you mean it's a college sanctioned event? She said, nope, it's a community sanctioned event. So I said, well, that's interesting. Who sanctioned it? And she said, oh, I'm sorry, I don't know who sanctioned it, but it was a community sanctioned event. So I went back to try to calm my husband down and tell him that not to worry, it was a community sanctioned event, and he got very upset. It's like, well, who authorized this? He said, I don't know. So he calls dispatch, and I want to say that dispatcher was beautifully, very professional in the way she tried to handle my husband, get him to calm down, but she couldn't tell him who sanctioned this event. So that left the question in my mind, who sanctioned this event? That when I went online, found out it's something called the Fall Fling. It was the second annual. I guess I was away last year and didn't notice this reverberation at 1 a.m. on Labor Day weekend on Sunday night, but apparently this is a new thing, a Fall Fling. And I thought, geez, if it's community sanctioned, did I miss my invitation? I mean, is this like the thing that Sarah Jane hosted, the town out on Mary Lyons and threw a barbecue for everybody? If it's community sanctioned, don't I get to go and hear these, this crazy music that I really don't care to hear? But the question arose, what's happening? And, I looked as far as I could. I hadn't heard any of any public meetings or hearings or anything with the college talking to our select board. And in my view, if it was community sanctioned, it would have been approved or at least brought to our selectmen for approval or to let them know about it. And so that's what I really wanted to talk to you and just let you know that this was what the party line was, that it was community sanctioned, and I'd just like to know who the genius was that sanctioned it from the town side. And, you know, I'm unfortunately, I mean, I don't know anything about the new president other than I met him when he first came to town. And after that, I really haven't heard hide nor hair of whether he's been meeting with our town leaders or including us. We used to have a community task force with Sarah Jane. I mean, Sarah Jane herself called me one time when there was something that she knew I was upset about. We just don't have any of this conversation going on anymore with the college, to my knowledge. Maybe I just don't know. But I wanted to let the selectmen know that, you know, I'm ready and willing to help do anything I can to get our community relations back to the point where they should be. And all I can say is if this new president doesn't feel the need to come and meet with our selectmen or ask their permission for things like this, or even, you know, an acknowledgement that, you know, he may have the authority to do it because they are a state university, but they ought to be talking with our town fathers in deciding that, you know, the middle of town, the whole middle of Plymouth can't sleep on a Sunday night till 1 a.m. I mean, even places like Foxwood or these, you know, open-air concert places turn it off at 10 or 11. So by ordinance, if we need an ordinance, that would, you know, so be it. Let's bring an ordinance. But I feel that we're being disrespected as citizens, as the host of this university in our midst, if they're not talking to our selectmen about this. And you know, bringing back the task force or whatever I claim. I haven't been to a CCC meeting because they basically gave up, seeing that they weren't that effectual. So, you know, we used to get just a heads up, but something like deciding for the town of Plymouth that we can keep people up in the middle of town till 1 a.m. I just don't think that's something that they do have the authority to do. And I'd like to see the select board you know, engage with them and let them know, other citizens, and I'm hoping by speaking tonight, other citizens who were upset and couldn't sleep. I know I talked to some of my neighbors, they had heard about the fall fling, so they knew what to expect. I didn't know about it, so maybe that's why I was more annoyed, but I just wanted to let you know about that and let you know that I'm willing to do whatever I can to back you up in re-engaging with the college in the way they should be engaged with this town as they go forward.
Okay.
Okay,
All right,
thank you.
Thanks, Patrice.
Paul, you have any comment on that, or?
We're investigating it, I just don't want to talk about logistics on television.
All right. Thanks, Patrice.
But, yes, and it did not come from the Board of Selectmen, or myself, or our chief, or, so we're still in the process of, since you contacted me. Okay. It's not that easy for us to get information either.
Right, I know.
So that's why the process is taking a little while. But please come to the next CCC meeting, because we do, we do still have those.
Anybody, any other public comment? Okay, seeing none, we need to finish some work session items.
Just a short, non-public.
Okay, short non-public. Okay, do I have a motion?
Make a motion to go into non-public.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Thank you everybody.